Alright everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So we're going to get through a lot of video content this weekend. We've got a couple of read-throughs lined up, as well as the usual Shonen Jump chapters. Unfortunately, it looks like Spy Family still going to be on break for another couple of weeks. So we've only got Kaiju and Akane Banashi chapters to cover this week. So I've already finished recording Akane Banashi, so we're going to get into Kaiju here in just a second. Before we dive into that, like I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming your way this weekend. So if you haven't already, please do consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. Like I mentioned before, this tends to be the hardest times of the year for me. So if you want to show me your support, show your appreciation for these videos, that would be really greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let us dive into it with Kaiju number 8, chapter 102, by Naoya Matsumoto, with translation by David Evelyn and lettering by Brandon Bovia. And we have number 8 has withdrawn from the Oizumi area, and you see as finished off last time where just uses ice to explode the giant kaiju. God, what is it? What is Pompadour's name? Is that Iharu? Sorry, give me a second. Why the hell don't I see your name? Come on, Pompadour. Yeah, Iharu. You see Iharu in Chofu City getting the notification. And you have Jugo going, seems he did his job. Ichikawa, that is. And Iharu's like, yes, sir. And it's my turn at bat. And you see his legs just shaking with a rattle. And Jugo just smiles. He's like, you're nervous, aren't you, Furuhashi? He's like, don't worry. I made sure you and Ichikawa acquired the skills necessary to effectively handle Daikaiju threats. He's like, I know, sir. I need to exert them to the fullest. He's like, Furuhashi, let me fill you in. I mean the minimum results gained when all factors take a plunge. That's what I refer to as skill. So get out there, be nervous, screw up, and take a plunge with peace of mind. And he's just shocked by this. He's like, you'll prove to be more than good enough that way. Now, how about you get out there? He's just getting popped out. He's like, yes, sir! As you see the little box where that came in behind, just breaking apart. He grabs what looks like a shotgun out of there. Because you see him holding a gun with little the shotgun pellets and a little bandolier on it. Did you have a custom weapon? Did you have Iharu Furuhashi heading out? And you see as he's running, one of the giant kaiju's bringing his arms over and about to slam into him. He's like, uh-oh. It's like, Furuhashi! Jugo's like, Furuhashi! He took an actual plunge? Just freaking out as the kaiju slammed in the ground. It's like, this is the natural consequence of your superfluous advice, Captain. He's like, ugh! It's like, but if anyone can turn things around, it's him. Iharu Furuhashi. And you see him just diving through some debris, and you have Officer Furuhashi is now engaging in combat. Unleash combat power. 24%? That's absurd. That's nowhere near the level needed to fight a Daikaiju. And you see as he's rushing towards him, two of the kaiju are blocking his way, and one's charging up like his face blast. And he's like a flash adapter. You'd make the third example of one. You're the same as me in that you can't maintain a continuous state of full release because of your because of your special cerebral structures. However, there's a trade-off. You exhibit bursts of explosive combat abilities that leaves others in the dust. I'll teach you how to put yourself in the zone for a very brief window while in combat. If you can master that, then your momentary boost in combat abilities might very well. As he has the kaiju lets out a blast, you see him hard having jumped out of the way, going surpass Ichikawa's. It's to compete against the prodigy that was Hikari Shinomiya, I created this. The desperate combat style. Jeff, ka-ching, as he just opens up fire with a bunch of shots. And you see these little black orb or black hole openings opening up in the kaiju. You have generate electricity from within. You have bzz 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 bzz. And it's the kaiju just explodes. It's his combat power spiking? It's you see the flash adapter they mentioned? He's 88%. His momentary levels are captain class? He's alright! And you have not bad, but I can't afford to be outdone. I never remember fucking Ponytail Bro's name because it always sounds like it was similar to what Iharu's name was. Hold on, give me a second here. Haruichi. It's the Izumo that throws me off. But you have Izumo going, not bad, but I can't afford to be outdone. as he pulls a little like bow gun with like these 3 darts on it. You have a pwa pwa pwa. So he just like knocks and fires it off into the air, and you see like this rain of like explosions coming down on the kaiju. And you have boom, like that's not enough force. And you have sheesh. It may not have Shinomiya's flashiness or Reno's innate talent or Iharu's unpredictability, but this custom weapon just screams me. And you have gritch gritch as the kaiju like you see is like black like blackness like spreading through it. And he's like a toxinizer weapon. It's like, I've restrained it. Hammer it in, Aoi. And you see the dark eye coming with thum and a kazzt. And he takes like this giant ass, what looks like a nail gun, and like, puts it on top of the kaiju's head. And blows it apart. Excuse me, you have Officer Izumo and Officer Kaguragi have us dispatched around the kaiju. He's like, alright. Let's keep up the pace and wipe out as many as we can. Think you can keep up? He's like, that's a stupid question. It's like, due to the effects of our reinforcements, the speed of the kaiju horde's invasion and the damage to civilians are finally on the decline. Is that a fucking mech suit? And you see a scarred balding like this giant like mech suit. It looks like with like these guns. Is it a mech suit or is it like an artillery gun? But you see like these giant guns just firing. It's like, so this is what the 3rd Division's new generation is capable of. It's like, be that as it may. There's like even more giant kaiju like looming around. It's like, even so, our enemies are too great in number and strength to completely take down. Once the new generation is exhausted, the enemy will make another big push. And you hear number 9. It's like, Narumi? It's like, if we take down number 9 down, they'll stop. It's like, what do you mean? And you see him like using his X-ray vision eyes on the kaiju and going, these things don't have brains. Instead, they're receiving signals from an outside force via a receiver-like organ. My guess is they're essentially killing machines designed to be strategically manipulated by number 9. We should act now while our reinforcements are still holding strong. If we take out their commander, they'll stop. So if we don't make it in time, it's like, yeah, then just like he planned, Tokyo will fall. Alright, so I guess quick thoughts on this chapter. So the beginning bits I like how we see Iharu's kind of moment to shine, where Jugo's kind of like giving him a little pep talk, and he's like, don't worry about it, don't worry about like being nervous and all that. It's like once you get into combat, like your skills will kick in, like the muscle memory will kick in, and at that point you'll kind of gain your confidence back. So I like the little pep talk and everything that he gave him. And I don't know, it's like the shotgun, like when he's doing like the whole thing, like it's all right, good, right until the moment you see his weapon, which kind of just dampens the impact a little, because like I said, it looked just like a shotgun. And they're like, oh, a custom weapon is like, I'm like, alright, but like it just kind of doesn't have any kind of impact. It lacks the impact necessary to kind of build up on that scene. So it kind of just this guy got this grand building up moment, just kind of like undercut by the weapon. But it was interesting that it seems like it's, I don't know, because I'm like kind of like electronic like EMP one, where it's like putting in like multiple blasts and like they're all working together, kind of like building up on each other like shockwaves to explode the kaiju from the inside out. But yeah, because again, it didn't look very impressive, but like I guess got results. Was like, alright, can't really complain about it too much. Apart from that, I think the weakest aspect of the chapter was Haruichi and Aoi being like, oh yeah, like, don't forget about us guys, we're still here, and we've got our own custom weapons. Like, don't get me wrong, like the bow weapon was cool as shit, I like that a lot. But because these two have had barely any screen time or development since the very beginning, it's very hard for me to kind of get like excited or gassed up about like, oh my god, these guys are going to showcase what they've learned, like, oh my god, they're going to do their own thing. Like, it's very hard for me to get excited about these two kind of like finally showcasing their stuff, because it's been, again, so long since we've seen them in the series, and because they've gotten so little development compared to the other characters, I find it very hard to care about them or like their specific fighting style. Because like when he's going like, oh, this custom weapon just screams me, he's like, oh my god, it's a toxinizer poison weapon. I'm like, alright, like what am I supposed to do with that information? Like just saying like, oh, this weapon just screams me, like we know so little about him. Like, I can't really say anything about the fact, like, yeah, poison weapon makes total sense. This guy would have that, and like the rail gun or nail gun or whatever the other guy has, totally screams him. So I think that's kind of like one of the limitations of this, where it's like, oh, they got like their own specialized weapons and everything. It's like, all right, fine, like, that's kind of like one of the gimmicks of this series, but it really doesn't tell me anything about their characters or anything like that. So it's kind of like dampens the impact a little bit. Apart from that, again, I've been like semi-critical of this for the longest time. Like, I'm really, really waiting to see what happens with God, I can't even remember her name now. Sorry, my brain is just having a complete brain fart. Give me Mina. My biggest concern right now is like what's going to happen with Mina and where is the series going from here, because this chapter I think kind of like put me back on the track of like, yeah, I don't feel like the series is going to end here. I feel like 9 gets taken out. We finally will learn, like, of the greater threat that the kaiju kind of represent. But again, it's still too early to tell. Where I'm like, it really could still go either way at this point. And it really will depend on what happens with Ashiro and number 9 going forward from here. So I feel like the issue with that so far is the last couple of chapters have been trying to like be like, oh, look at all these other guys, look at how much they've grown and developed. But in the back of my mind, I've just been kind of thinking like, all right, this really comes down to how Ashiro is being handled. And I feel like we're getting, filler in the meantime to kind of, while we're kind of just like getting to that point, we're kind of just getting filler in between to kind of like slowly like up the weight for how when we get the reveal to what's happening to Mina and stuff. And like, given how much like is being built up, if this doesn't end in a satisfactory way, it really is going to kind of undercut the rest of the rest of the arc previous completely. So I'm really, really hoping Matsumoto-san is going to be able to deliver on this. But yeah, I think we're back to that point of like nervously waiting to see what the end of this arc is going to be like before I pass judgment. But now that we're finally kind of getting focused back to number 9, hopefully the next couple of chapters will finally be like Kafka having gotten to him with no more roadblocks in the way, and then we'll hopefully find out like, what the whole deeper plan and everything is like, and what direction the series is going. But yeah. So with all that said, I hope you all did enjoy this review. If you did, like I mentioned at the beginning, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really does mean a lot to me. Apart from that, please do continue speaking out about Palestine. There is a global strike this week. And until next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.